Hey guys, so I have made a map guide for Mario Kart World. Um, this video will be kind of an overview of the map and a quick analysis of how you might want to use it and how to kind of think about this game. If you're just interested in the map itself, feel free to just take a screenshot and go check it out on your own, or go look in the description below. I'll put a link to a full resolution version. You can take it and use it how you like. But the general philosophy for this map is just centered around the idea that it's the final lap that really matters. And that's super obvious because that's the map where you actually win the game. But there's also like deeper reasons to focus on that. One, the game designers, really from the very beginning of Mario Kart franchise, wanted to create races where people could make a big comeback. And so, they didn't really want a game where someone could get ahead in the first lap and then just sort of stay there the whole time. They wanted to create items and track designs and experiences where you could actually make those big comebacks. And those typically happen in the final lap. So the game is kind of designed around that idea. The other thing is being able to know where you're headed on the third lap and what that lap is going to look like. Or I should say the final lap, because Mario Kart World sometimes has like 4 or 5 laps kind of built into it. But knowing where you're headed at the end of the race is important, because you might want to be making decisions about whether you're going to try to front run, whether you're going to try to bag, and knowing where you're headed can help kind of inform making choices like that about this game and coming up with those strategies. Now, in terms of how to use this map, it's important to know kind of just what these symbols mean, first of all. So the yellow circles are tracks where when you arrive there during an intermission, or where the route ends there, it's always going to be forward. So when you arrive at these tracks, they're always forward. The ones that have this light blue or cyan color, those are tracks where if you start at this location, you're going to end up at a forward track. Okay, so you can see this is organized around the idea of where you're going to end. And many of the ones on this side of the map, are forward when you arrive, and also forward when you leave. You're going to actually arrive at a forward location. The pink circles through here, I've listed as frequently weird. I don't really know a better way to say it. There are, sometimes they're forward, sometimes they're just regular backwards, sometimes there's an alternative version, and depending on the side that you approach the track or just other factors, these are more unpredictable compared to the other tracks. So this is kind of an area that you might want to emphasize. And then as far as the arrows, those provide just a deeper level of detail for how these tracks are organized or arranged. A green arrow, this kind of bright green, will terminate at a forward track, and a pink arrow, this bright pink, will arrive at a backwards track or an alternative track. Okay, so that's kind of the basic symbols. The big takeaways for pretty much all players are, if you're on this right hand side of the map over here, if you're in the east, so to speak, you're going to have very few surprises. DK Pass, there's a couple examples where it's backwards. And then, obviously if you're here and you're crossing over into the kind of center region of the map, there's some backwards tracks there as well. But in general, if you're on the right side of the map, you can just it's a fairly safe assumption that most of the time you're going to be you're going to end at a forward facing track. And the same is pretty much true in the north. There's a ton of yellow circles here. So if you're arriving anywhere in the north, it's just going to be a forward track. There's a couple examples where if you're leaving from this kind of upper left part of the map and going down, you might end up at a backwards track. But those are kind of indicated here. But the big takeaway is, if you're in the north, the top part of the map, or if you're in the east or the right side of the map, generally things are not going to be too strange. You're mostly going to end up at forward tracks. The big issues happen down here in the southwest part of the map, or the bottom left. and these pink circles here at the desert, at Mario Bros, at Crown, at Peach's Castle, and at Koopa Beach. These 5 are the ones that if you have extra time and you want to learn this game a little better, those are really the 5 maps that you should study more with the intermissions, because there are multiple variations, and knowing kind of where you're going to end up going forward, where it's going to be backwards, where there's alternative versions, that's a good idea to kind of study there. And then if you if you reach that kind of next tier where you really want to know places that aren't quite as important to know, but there's still a few issues, Wario Stadium, Moo Moo, even DK Pass has a couple right in there. And Shy Guy. So this kind of line right through here with Shy Guy, Wario, Moo Moo, DK Pass. Those are places that are typically forward, and you'll typically kind of recognize what's going on, but where there's a couple examples where the track is going to be not what you're expecting, right? So that's a pretty good overview of the map. If there's demand for it, if people are interested, I might make some follow-up videos where we kind of break down some of these more unusual intermissions to kind of take a look at that. And but otherwise, I hope this map is helpful, and I'll see you guys later.